Hello. It's been a very long time since I've come on the since I've come on the camera and talked about stuff. I hope everyone is doing good and all that. Today on a video where I come on and talk about mundane things, I'm going to talk to you about kitchen timers. I I've always had a fascination with them, ever since I was a kid. And I had actually managed to amass a pretty modest collection of them. I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 15, but life happened, and for some reason or another, I had to get rid of them. Um, but now I'm much, well, I'm not gonna say much older, but I'm older, and my own place and this and that, and you know what? I figured I'm gonna start a timer collection again, so I can come on YouTube and talk to you guys about it. And honestly, one kitchen timer isn't really worth a video, in my opinion, but a collection of them, now that's something that I could work with. And I'm at the point now where I got like 9 of them, so I'm going to talk to you about them. First one, let's see, I have them purposefully placed off the table until I go to talk about them. Let's see if I can. Yes. Let's talk about this one first. This is actually a timer that I had an iteration of as a kid. It's a Taylor kitchen timer. I think they call this like a deluxe model, and deluxe it is. I'll try to describe it for the blindies of you watching. But you can see, or you can't see, that the top of the timer, it has this really nice brushed aluminum kind of stainless steel case. The timer is you lay it flat so that the dial is kind of slanted at an angle so that you can see it, and it's round. It's the top is sort of, I don't know. It's a bit of a dome shape, but since it's slanted, you feel more metal at the top of the dial than you do at the bottom. And the dial, the grip, well, actually the entire the dial that you turn. Do you remember that infamously terrible rubberized kind of soft touch coating that people really loved to put on tech products in the mid 2000s? That kind of deteriorated over time. It became a sticky mess. Yeah, that's what's on the dial and the bottom of this timer. By the way, this is the bottom of it. It has vents, so where you, yeah, I guess, let the ring come out, which we'll talk about the ring in a minute. And it also has, how many, 4 little rubber feet that it sits on, really nice. Don't remember if I'd shown the dial, but this is the dial. The markings you can kind of feel on that outer metal around the dial. You can sort of feel they're slightly embossed. Well, I guess engraved in the metal. This is definitely like probably the most modern, sleek, whatever timer I have in the collection. And that ring. So one of the things that really impressed me as a kid was just how long this timer rang. They advertised it as having a 9-second ring, and back then it was true. I timed it. It was a good ring. It was probably closer to 10 seconds. Now, not so much. The ring mechanism here is definitely a little different. The ring sounds nice, different than what I remember. The pitch is a little bit lower, and I swear it's a little louder, but the duration is not at all near that advertised 9 seconds. So I'll wind this timer up. and let you hear it tick, and then let it, I'll bring it back around to 0. All of these timers do 1 hour, by the way. It's like a universal thing. And you'll notice as I do this video that each timer has its own unique audible characteristics. So I'm going to wind it and listen to that tick. A very nice kind of crisp tick. And if you listen, something that's really common in these timer mechanisms, it kind of does what I like to call the gallop. You know, these are not exquisitely manufactured timepieces. Definitely manufactured to a price, but I'm going to set it off, and you can hear the ring. It's a nice ring, but it's by no means... They still advertise it as having a 9-second ring, by the way. I could sue for false advertising, but why would you do it? Right, this is the ring. Very nice ring to it, nonetheless. So that's the Taylor out of the way. This next timer is another one of the more modern designs. This is really nice. The description of this on Amazon calls it a saucer-shaped timer, and by my account, we're just gonna go with it. This is a really nice timer. Showing the dial to you at the moment. The backside or the bottom, whichever way you choose to look at it, is a magnet, a big magnet, and it's a strong son of a gun too. The idea is you stick it to your fridge or the microwave or any other kind of thing in the kitchen that you want to stick to it, your face or your head or whatever, if it's attracted to a magnet. And that's where you put it, and it really works. The magnet it's very effective. It's strong enough to where when you go to twist the dial, it will not budge. I'll try to describe this. This is another one of those timers that have that kind of brushed stainless steel aluminum thing. Obviously, the bottom is a magnet. It's one flat circular magnet. And then on top of that, you get this little, like, outer ring of that brushed metal where the time markings are. And on the top, you get this nice, round, glossy, smooth plastic piece that has a little nub at the very top as like an arrow marker. They could have given it some grip, but that's okay. I mean, it's just a cheap modern timer. What do you want? It's like $10 on Amazon. But it's really, this is the ring for this. The pitch is a little lower than the last one, not by much. Maybe a half step. Not quite as loud. It's got like a bit of a crisp, sharp ring to it. Nice tick. Also has one of those really sharp ticks, but the ring of this is not quite as nice. I'll demonstrate here. The action is very smooth, by the way. Same for the Taylor. That dial twists, and it's very smooth. Very nice, crisp ticking sound. I'm going to set it off here for you. By the way, a very simple, effective way to get the full ring out of these long ring timers, and some manuals will tell you to do this. Not all of them. Some will just tell you to twist it to like a half hour or 45 minutes, but twist it all the way to the hour and then turn it back to the desired time. You'll get the full long ring every time. Unless you just don't want it, and then you don't have to do that. This upcoming timer here is the third of the modern slash unique design timers that I happen to have in my collection. This was a Michaels find. My girlfriend found this for me, as a matter of fact. It's shaped like a mocha pot, um, as the sighted people can see. Those of us blindies, we need descriptions and stuff for that, man. Nah, this, I have mixed. I love this timer. I love the design of it. You know, just as a coffee drinker myself, it's really neat. But I wouldn't dare use this as an everyday timer, like the Taylor timer. Oh yeah. Um, I don't know how long it would last, but I would say that would hold up to regular use. The saucer timer, which don't really remember the brand of, that one too. This one, not so much. I would, like 3 3/4 inches tall, like 4 inches tall, and a good like 2 inches deep or wide or circumference, whatever, and somehow manages to weigh as much as the Taylor timer, maybe even a little bit less. Really hollow feeling timer. Whenever you turn the dial, it feels like you're going to break it. The ticking is hollow, the ring is, I don't know, but still it's a very nice timer, and I 100% appreciate it, and I'm glad to have it in the collection simply just for the unique design aspect. It's a bit more of a novelty piece than a real, you know, good timepiece. I'll wind it up and let you hear it, the winding sound, the tick in the ring, and if you listen close, you might hear a squeak when when I go to wind it. Yeah, hear that? It's such a shame because I love this timer. I really, really do. Well, this one was also really cheap. I think it was what, like $6. The Taylor is the more expensive one I have. I think that one's like 15 on Amazon or something like that. And I'll set it off now so you can hear the ring. Oh, I'm just so afraid that I'm gonna break it. Yeah. So in short, really nice design. Kind of a neat little timepiece. Very glad to have it. Don't really use it, but it's a nice statement piece, I guess. I don't know. Fourth time now. This one was actually a find at Harris Teeter. Don't remember really the brand of it, but okay. I kind of lied when I said it was the third of you know three modern looking, sleek whatever timepieces. This one is kind of, I would say it's a bit more modern looking, kind of an updated appearance as compared to your stereotypical, timer style like the Lux Minute Minders or the Sunbeams, where it's flat and then the sides are flat and then it kind of goes up to a hump at the top, which this one does too, but it's not as deep as those designs typically are, but it has a nice base. The bottom is deeper than the rest of the timer uh, for a more stable stance on your table. I could be a timer salesman. It also has a very nice uh, rubbery piece too to help keep the timer from slipping, and it works pretty good actually. This is the dial side. It has more of that soft touch kind of coating material. I really worry about how long it'll last on these, but the good thing is, I guess, it'll don power wash or whatever, even water or alcohol. I wouldn't want to use power wash actually. I'd be too afraid it would get in the mechanism of these timers. I'll get into a sad story about washing a timer when I was a kid later. But this is a really nice one too. It was on sale. I don't really remember how much I paid for it, but it was on sale. It's nice. I'll wind it. This also has a really smooth action dial. Maybe this is a Lux Minute Minder too. I don't remember the brand of this. Someone could probably point it out in the video. I'll twist it up for you. I'll get it running. You can hear the tick, and then the ring, which is a really nice loud ring on here. Oh yeah. Before I do that, really quick, you can feel the arrow at the end of the timer and the markings for the time around the dial are, raised up a bit. Kind of an average tick. It's a little, it's a bit pronounced, but it's not super special like the Taylor or the saucer ticks. I really like those ones. But the ring, oh, listen to the ring on this timer. It's a nice loud ring. That's nice. Speaking of loud rings, I was gonna save this one for last, but I just can't. I just can't. I love this timer. This is another one I'm going to be talking about a while. I need to wipe this off. I need to clean it up. I should have done that before I did the video. This is like my big daddy of timers. This is the one I use the most regularly. This is one that I was so glad when I found it. Um Even though uh, it's a good quality build, but the dial never really lined up fully with this timer. This is a model of a Lux Minute Minder. I'll aim this dial at the camera here so you can see it. But it's not like a normal Lux Minute Minder. This one, I believe, probably was designed specifically for blind, visually impaired, and maybe even the hard of hearing too, because the tactile markings on this timer are very well embossed. And it's a little bit different too. Most of the time, your time markings are like around the dial. Well, this time it's on the dial, and the arrow is at the top of the housing, the plastic housing of the timer. and you can feel the marking as you're turning the dial, and that's a very, very well designed system. I love this timer. Back in 2008, July of 2008, I went to the Junior Science Academy at the headquarters of National Federation of the Blind in Baltimore, Maryland. And it was a really, really nice time. They have a store over there, I forget exactly what it's called, where you can buy blind shit, really. Is what it is. Um, and they had this timer there, and I had to get it. So I got it. Oh man, everything about this timer is unique. This is the heaviest timer in the collection. The largest. It's got such a nice stance. The base of it is almost square. It's just a little bit more rectangular. The dial is slanting up at you, and the top half of the housing, like the top of it is rounded, and it comes to a hump, but the hump goes to a point, uh, like the other Lux Minute Minders that I have. Hopefully that makes sense. I really should have cleaned this before the video, but it's okay. Um, sadly, like this timer got lost. My original one, I took it, shortly after my parents split. I went one weekend to go see Dad, and I took it to the house to, have something to mess with, and I haven't seen it since. So who knows what happened to it? I guess it's in some landfill or something, which is really a shame. Actually, very much a shame. You're about to hear the winding of the timer and the ticking, which is very unique. The rhythm is a lot slower than the ticking of any other timer except for another one that I'll get to later. I will not spoil that one. I was gonna save this one for last, but I'll save the one I was just teasing you about for last instead. The dial action on this is not quite as smooth as some of the others, but it's forgivable because of just everything else about it. Didn't used to do that. Let me sit it and see if it stops the galloping. Okay, that's better. See, it's a little bit slower. I've always loved the tick on this timer. And now, here comes that ring. You're gonna hear that mess. Love that timer. Which one should we do next? Which one should we do next? Well, the one I was actually going to do has fallen onto the floor. Let me grab it. La, 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 la. Here we go. Speaking of Lux Minute Minder. This was a Goodwill find. I have another Lux Minute Minder that looks, well, the housing and the dial is exactly the same style. But I believe that this is much newer. So it has a flat bottom, pretty good stance on the table. No like rubber feet or anything though, but it gets, it's good. It's good enough. Um, the sides are kind of flat. They jut out a little bit, but good ergonomics for the hand. And then it comes to a hump and a point at the top. The dial is really really neat. The grip part. Um, it's difficult to describe. It's not too much out of the ordinary, but it just has a nice little subtle design thing to it. This, I'm not 100% sure when this is from, but like I said, it has to be newish. And I say that because the ring of the timer sounds very much like most of the timers that I had as a kid. It's not quite the pitch of the modern long ring ones. Um, so we'll go ahead and wind this up. This has a really not, quiet ticking sound to it. So if you want a timer with a good ticking sound, but it's maybe not quite so loud, this. If you can find one, is the one to get. Not sure if you're able to tell how quiet that is in relation to a lot of the other timers that I've talked about, but it's a nice quiet tick. Kind of sharp, but quiet. The ring of this is pretty nice too. Dial, like the way the dial feels when you twist it, it's about average. It's not terrible. Here's the ring. Good loud sharp ring. And I'll show you my. Oh yeah, I'm excited to show you this one. Don't really have to talk too much about the way it looks because it's basically the exact same as the other one. This one was as found. I haven't really tried to clean it yet, and I'll get into why later. But this is a vintage Lux Minute Minder. Let me make sure that I'm still sitting at a. Oh yeah, yeah, good. This one, I'm fairly certain was made in the '60s. U.S. made. A really nice timer. This has a really unique tick to it as well. It's a bit dirty, but I've been a little afraid to clean it because I got a vintage timer as a kid, and I was really really glad to have it. But it came out of a hair salon. So there was like a lot of hair product on it, I guess, like hairspray and all that kind of thing. And and you're a kid, you don't really know what you're doing. And of course, it's way different now. Um, obviously, I know not to do this now, but I drenched it with water and it quit working. It's a shame too because I was really glad to have that timer. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, like my Big Daddy Lux Minute Minder, both of these Lux Minute Minders, the markings are on the dial itself, and there's like an arrow on the. I like that kind of system a lot better than most of the other timers. Like the arrows on the timer, and the markings are on the housing. But another thing that sets this timer apart is it is my first, well, not technically my first, because I had one when I was a kid, the one that I messed up. But the first single chime timer in my modern collection. Single chime timers are not quite as easy to find. Most of the timers that you find nowadays are the long ring variety. And yes, even if it rings for 2 seconds, it's considered long ring. Um, I did manage to find a modern one being sold under the McKesson brand that claims to be single chime, but it's the most expensive analog timer I've seen. Thus, I just don't. I don't know. Spending 15 on the Taylor was one thing because it was the closest thing to a carbon copy of one of my favorite timers as a kid, but this is another thing. Maybe I'll get adventurous enough to buy it one day, but for now, nah. But I'll wind this up, and one thing that you'll notice is because this is a single chime, when you wind it, it's silent. So it's wound up. Listen to that tick. Kind of a nice quiet tick too, and it's a bit unique from the other ones that you've heard because whereas the other ones are kind of, this one is more, it's nice. It's a nice, and here comes that classic single chime. It's so good on this one. A nice, long, resonant, round sound. We're down to the final two timers now. And they're both sunbeams. This is my most recent acquisition. Oh, before I forget to tell you, the vintage Lux Minute Minder was an eBay purchase, and so is the one after this one. But this is a Sunbeam. This is probably the heaviest timer in my collection, but it's kind of wonky because the mechanism is really loose inside this casing. Very much like this vintage Lux Minute Minder, which I forgot to bring this to the attention of the viewer. Don't mean to go back and forth like this, but it's kind of it's almost my Betty Bye time. This seems like it was dropped on a burner or sat very close to a very, very hot surface because on the left, if the dial is facing you, on the left corner of this timer, I don't really know if anyone will be able to see this, but it's indented on the side and the front, and the dial itself too. The very edge of that dial is caved in, as you may be able to see. You may have been able to see it from the get-go, but really a shame. And I have a tendency to think that because of that damage, that's kind of why the mechanism of this one is really loose in the housing. But I digress. Back to the Sunbeam. Don't really know a whole lot about it. The housing is round, completely round, with two plastic feet that give the timer a nice stance on the table. This too has the markings slightly embossed on the dial itself with a nice arrow, like a little nub on the top of it. And the dial is very ergonomically designed. If the camera is focusing enough, or if I'm showing this good enough, you can see there's a place for your pointer finger or middle finger or ring or whatever finger you feel like using to turn the dial, and your thumb. There are divots, a divot on if the dial is facing you, the bottom right and the top left for your fingers. Very, very nice ergonomic design. This was found at a Value Village. Not the best ticking sound I've heard, but it's okay. The dial action is a bit rough, but that just could be down to age. I don't really know how old this timer is. And the ring is also really hollow sounding, but I'll show you. This is the tick. If I had to throw out a guess, I would say that maybe this timer is from sometime in the 90s. I don't know. Maybe earlier, mid 2000s. And here comes the ring. There's one sunbeam. Last but not least, this one. This is another timer that's gonna get me talking. This too is a vintage Sunbeam in as found condition. This was actually in the same eBay lot as the vintage Lux Minute Minder. The design of this timer is like, well, honestly, it's like most of the timers I had as a kid. Very similar to the Lux Minute Minders, but the top doesn't come to a point. It's just a hump. And it is a, flat bottom, although it's designed in such a way it's going to slip and slide because it doesn't have rubber feet, but it has a good stance on the table. This is the unique thing about this timer. Not only is it a single chime, but it doesn't tick. It purrs like a kitten. And to be honest with you, not this very same design, but this era of Sunbeam, I think like 60s, 70s, was my first exposure that I can remember to these timers. In preschool, I was really young, like 3-4 years old. Yeah, somehow I can remember that far back. I went to a daycare for disadvantaged, is that the right word? Kids with disabilities, all right? Short bus window lickers. We politically correct around here. And they had these time, I think they had an apple-shaped one and another one that was kind of fruit-shaped. I don't really remember, but and I always thought it was really neat the way they sounded. I'm gonna wind it up. Maybe you've heard timers like this. Listen. It purrs. My kindergarten teacher had another, I think all of the ones that sounded like this were sunbeams. I think that whatever mechanism that they used, was unique in sunbeam timers of this vintage. I don't know about any long ring ones that they made. But yeah, this too was, a little dirty. I haven't really cleaned it. I don't know. I don't really want to clean it too much. And then, actually, as a matter of fact, the timer that I had talked about earlier, cleaning, and breaking, I believe, also was a Sunbeam. It purred like this, and it was single chime like this. And ever since that day, I always wanted to have more single chime timers. Now I have two. And this is the ring on this one. Not quite as nice as the ring as the single chime on the Lux Minute Minder, the vintage one. But you'll hear it. Loud, sharp, attention getting. So these are all the timers. The two Sunbeams. The three Lux Minute Minders. The Mocha Pot. The Harris Teeter Special. The Taylor. And the Saucer. And since the young folks of today like TikTok so much, how's this for TikTok? There's your TikTok. Nice mechanical symphony of kitchen timers. You're amazing if you made it this far. I'm beginning to think I'm missing my calling as a kitchen timer salesman.